All right, good evening, everyone. I'm Dave Brown. I'm the chairman of the Trustees of Osgood Hill. We have our February meeting tonight. Today is Thursday, February 25th, 2021. It is 5:03 p.m. And the meeting is being held remotely by video call. And actually, Robin, would you mind taking notes tonight since Jerry is not here? Oh, you're muted. No, I still don't hear you. All right. Can you take notes?
I would be happy to.
Thank you very much. Okay. Pursuant to Governor Baker's March 12th, 2020 order suspending certain provisions of the open meeting law, general laws, I guess it's chapter or C 30A, subsection 18, and the governor's March 15th, 2020 order imposing strict limitation on the number of people that may gather in one place. This meeting of the Trustees of Osgood Hill will be conducted via remote participation to the greatest extent possible. Specific information and the general guidelines for remote participation by members of the public and or parties with a right and or requirement to attend this meeting can be found on the town's website at www.northandoverma.gov. For this particular meeting, members of the public who wish to watch may do so on their televisions by tuning to Comcast Channel 99 or Verizon Channel 28 or online at www.northandovercam.org. No in-person attendance of members of the public will be permitted, but every effort will be made to ensure that the public can adequately address the proceedings in real time via technological means. In the event we're unable to do so, despite best efforts, we will post on the Town of North Andover website an audio or video recording, transcript, or other comprehensive record of proceedings as soon as possible after the meeting. If the public would like to participate in public hearings, please email your question or comment prior to or during the meeting to myself at dbrown, D-B-R-O-W-N, at northandoverma.gov. The question or comment will be read during the proceedings and responded to accordingly. Let me just get set up to do that. There we go. And we'll keep an eye on my email during the meeting. So with that behind us, we'll call the meeting to order and do a roll call of those present. We have Thomas Dugan.
Here. Hi, everyone.
Hey, Tom. We have Robin Ellington.
Robin Ellington is here.
Very good. And we have Charles Matheson.
Here.
Thank you, Charles. Myself, Dave Brown. And at the moment, the other two committee members, Jerry Justin and Jean Irwin, are not present. You may see Jean during the meeting. Jerry, I know we are not going to see. We also have with us our director of the Stevens Estate, Joanna Collantine. Hi, Joanna.
Hi.
And Andrew Shapiro, Director of Economic Development of North Andover. Hi, Andrew.
Hello. Hello.
Good. All right. We have audio for everybody. We're already in good shape. First order of business is approval of the January minutes, which I just realized since Jerry is not here, he did send them, I believe. He just didn't send a reminder. Let me just make sure that that's true. Bear with me, everyone, a minute. See, he normally takes care of that stuff. I don't even think about it. But let me make sure he did. I'm remembering that he did. Let's search for Justin. Oh my goodness, you know what? Going to have to postpone that until, yeah, I don't see a draft of January minutes here. Oh, wait. December. No, does anybody else have them? I don't have them.
haven't seen them.
No. All right. Well, then we can't approve them. So we'll have to skip that. So we'll go right to Chairman's update. So as everyone knows, it's on item 3A. As everyone knows, the town issued an RFP for management of the estate, and I am serving as our representative in that process. The proposals were due March 1st and have been received, and the review will take place in March. And in fact, I can report that our first meeting to begin that review is Monday, this coming Monday, and I will be there. It's at 3 o'clock, I believe, 3 or 3:30. So that is what's going on with Part A. Part B, so I will give a very brief update on this. This is the State Department of Local Services, which is a section of the Department of Revenue. It came in and did a review of our operations. And I know that our town manager has been in contact with them. They told her it was, 99% done, but it needed some minor edits. And for whatever reason, I guess, they're not working at full capacity or whatever. They are still not here. So we don't have them yet, but our town manager, Melissa, has indicated multiple times to me that the moment she gets it, she will forward it to us. So as soon as I get it, I'll pass it on. Go ahead, Rami.
I would like to discuss the item that's on our agenda. It's not a review of our operations. It's a review of the accounting practices by the town of North Andover regarding the Stevens estate as an enterprise fund.
Okay. Yes, I think that is more accurate. That's all. But you're taking. Okay. Anyone else want to comment on that? Okay. So that is 3B. 3C. So both Jean and I attended, and Tom as well, attended the remotely attended the planning board meeting on Tuesday. And thank you very much to Tom for putting in time and preparing a very nice slide presentation that Jean and I presented to them. That was, as this board directed me to do, a summary of our September 2020 written report that was previously provided to them, as well as to the selectmen and to the finance committee. We went through it, we hit the highlights, and they appreciated it. They expressed their appreciation to us for that, and that's pretty much it. Jean, unfortunately, is not here to comment, but Tom, do you want to add anything to that?
No, I think it was a positive discussion. I think there were 2 points that were made. I think one of the planning board members who also chairs the CPA spoke to the finances, and I think your discussion, Dave, of clarifying that capital has always been a concern for the state. And I think he's aware of that because CPA has funded a number of projects. And then later on, I know it's on the agenda to talk about the watershed, but I was glad to see the one member of the planning board bring up the protection of the watershed as well, and how that's going to work. But I know that's an agenda item for later.
Yeah, we're going to talk about that later. And I was actually very excited to hear that come unsolicited from them. Yeah, which was very nice, actually.
I was listening in.
Oh, good.
I'm kind of sad that we weren't able to see the slide presentation. I didn't even know you had one.
Oh, yeah, we did. I might I don't know if I had sent it. It didn't occur to me to send it, 3 days ahead of time. We were kind of working on it still 3 days ahead of time. But I don't know even if I had, if they would have. I kind of got the feeling they didn't really want to see it anyway. But they do have the written report, and if you, who knows? Maybe they would have let us put it in the record. But in any event, our written report was included in their agenda, so it is in their public record now as well, right? Full written report that we did back in September. So that's, at least we know that's there. Yeah, it would have been nice. It would have been better to have that as a presentation tool. But Tom did a really good job on it. I mean, does anybody? I mean, we could. I suppose we could send it. It's a little quicker read than the full document.
I'd like to see it. Yeah.
Oh, okay. I don't think we need to vote on that, right? I mean, I can certainly make it. I can certainly make it available to you guys.
Could it be included with the minutes?
Yeah,
Or is it not in a form where we could do that?
No, it is. I think I don't believe we need to vote on it. I think it's because we're referencing it during the meeting. We should include it in the minutes as a courtesy to the public, so we can just have it be there and be part of the official record.
Right, and it does absolutely reflect the written report, so it's not really any new information. It's just you know what I mean? It's just it's really a summary, a good summary, excellent summary, Tom. My compliments to you actually for that. But yeah, all right, I will, Robin, I'll get it to you so you can include it in the write-up.
Excellent, thank you.
Okay. I don't feel like we need to go through it. We've gone through it before, right? All that information. Before.
Right.
Unless somebody wants to, we can. But so now part D is to welcome our new member. I'm very happy to introduce to you guys Charles Matheson. Charles, why don't you say hello and tell us a little bit about yourself?
Oh, thank you. Thank you. I've been in town about 12 years now, and in a townhouse here, enjoying the town so much that that I elected to get a little more involved in town affairs.
Okay. Well, we're happy to have you. I've offline, I have tried to bring Charles up to speed.
Yeah.
Best I can. There's a lot of things that have happened here, and I have he has quite a bit of material to look at.
So Charles, what did you do in your former life?
Sales and marketing over 50 years.
What kind of sales and marketing?
Oh, that's real estate.
Okay.
Yeah, real estate at various projects, and then on to the next one, then on to the next one.
Thank you.
Okay. All right. So now we'll move, if no one has any other comments on that, we'll move to number 4, the finance update. Of course, Jerry's not here, but operationally, not a lot is really going on right now. So I don't think we really need to spend a ton of time on that anyway, right? I don't know if the retained earnings have even changed since a month ago, Andrew. Have they materially?
I don't think so. I haven't been able to connect with the town accountant about where they stand right this moment, but I can send a follow-up once I do.
Okay.
Happy to do that.
Yeah. So, with operations essentially more or less suspended or close to suspended.
Yeah.
So Dave, can I ask a question about that?
Yeah.
So I know that yesterday the governor announced again another rollback of requirements for different events. I think cultural events, social events. I think saw something about dance halls are potentially open now, and we still have it's February now. We got March, April, May, June, kind of the heavy months of revenue operations for the estate. So I'm just curious if Joanna or even Andrew, through Andrew to Joanna, could give us kind of an update on, what does that rollback do to the opportunities to book more events and offer more programs at the estate?
Would you like me to?
Joanna, yeah, Joanna, you can answer that.
So yeah, we actually got some even more better news today. So I'll read it out to you from the governor. Beginning on March 22nd, officials also plan to increase gathering limits for event venues and in public settings to 100 people indoors and 150 people outdoors. So our maximum capacity normally is 250 people when we have the tent that goes up in May. So right now we have got some events in May, including a couple of 250s that we may have to finagle a little bit. Our biggest weddings don't start till June. So I'm kind of optimistic that, saying that, we've got a long time between March the 22nd and May. So assuming I'm on the same positive trajectory that the governor's on, we will be assuming it to be in an even better position by June. So I'm really confident about June for the start of our big weddings. I'm also getting a lot of inquiries for smaller weddings, just like we did in the fall of last year. So 40, 50 people. And since we've booked up a lot of our weekends, I'm trying to put together like a midweek $2,000 4-hour wedding package, which includes a ceremony and cocktail hour, but a restricted reception, not using the second floor, not using the bridal and the groom suite. And that would be like Monday to Thursday. So I think we have a good way of kind of filling in some of those uncertainties by filling in with some of these smaller weddings. And then the dance, another thing that the governor said today, that dancing is now permitted for weddings only. Yeah! So I'm really happy about that. So that means we'll be able to have a dance floor in May, plus our outside venue with at least 150 people in the tent. So, yeah.
That's exciting. Yeah. So does this change? So were those limit changes effective like immediately, like today or
March 22nd?
March 22nd.
We've got, and I think he's making another announcement in 2 weeks before that, so things might get better then. I guess he's going to look at the vaccine situation, etc.
And so the current staffing plan with your hours, allocated mostly downtown and only a little bit to the state. What was that planned to run through? That was planned to run through April, was it, or through March?
I think it's the end of March, but
I think it's end of March.
If we've got events in April, which I anticipate we will, then I'm going to have to be juggling a lot. So
right.
I mean, we can. I'll talk to Andrew about that. I can't ignore clients when they're calling with questions, etc. So,
yeah. No, but
even with the current. I'm sorry, Tom. I just real quick. Even with the current arrangement, the town manager and I have just told Joanna, there's flexibility is there in order to allow her to, maintain client engagement and do what's necessary to work on a state affairs, even with the time split difference. So.
Yeah.
Okay. And the timing.
I think, Andrew, sorry, Dave. I think, Andrew, thank you for saying that, because that was one of my concerns, knowing that Joanna is split, that there wasn't going to be a either hopefully unintentional consequence of her not being able to focus on revenue service at the estate, especially since the situation seems to be improving and the restrictions are starting to lift a little bit on these types of events. So the more that she's able to extract herself from municipal operations and focus back on revenue operations, just helps improve the overall picture for the estate. So thank you for confirming that flexibility.
Yeah, absolutely. Yep, we agree.
All right. Yeah, I was just looking at the link in the agenda to the current financials, but those are still the ones from last month.
Yeah, they weren't updated.
They're not updated. Okay, just wanted to make sure so that before we moved on to the next section. Is there? Okay, so that's A and B. Is there? And yet, Andrew, please, if you can, when you get a chance to forward just a up to the minute snapshot of RE. That's my bailiwick, right? That's can't help it. That's the world I came from. Then the last part of this, I wonder, Joanna, is there any real update on the budget since we last met? Or
I actually updated that little PowerPoint presentation.
Okay.
If you want me to share the screen, I'll just run through it real quick. And it's
Sure.
got an update of the budget, the booking numbers, etc.
All right.
I'm presenting now.
I mean, unless you're going to cover it later, because you have.
Well, you've got my director's monthly update. I would normally put it in there, but I think last month I jumped ahead.
All right. Well, why don't we might as well do it now. Go ahead.
Want to leave it till then?
No. I think we can talk about it now.
Okay, great. All right, I am going to present the screen. Hang on. I'll share my screen.
By the way, Charles, are you able to see? You just can't be seen. Is that your status?
Would you repeat that?
I'm saying, are you able to see us, but just not? You can't.
No, I'm not, because I wasn't able to pull that up on the computer. I'm on the telephone.
Oh, okay. So you're just hearing. All right.
Yeah.
Dave, I can't seem to present using my present now button.
Huh. Is it something you want to email me then? I don't know why that would be.
Actually, yeah, if you want to, I'll do it right now.
All right. Which email are you sending it to? The D Brown at North Andover MA, or?
I'm actually, which one do you want me to send it to?
Send it to the D Brown at NorthandoverMA.gov.
Okay, I just sent it.
All right, now I gotta go get it. There it is.
Awesome.
All right. Those bits are coming in. All right. So the PowerPoint.
Yes, it is. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. My poor old computer is. It's kind of like the Elmer Fudd car. A little bit slow. But see if I can get it to happen. Let's see. Share a window. All right. You guys seeing it?
It's kind of really small if you want to use presenter view.
Yep. First, I need to. First, I even need to see it on my computer.
Tiny.
Show all windows. Oh, it is tiny. Yeah, I wonder why it does that. I don't know. Wait. Sorry, guys.
You want to try, see in the bottom of your screen, Dave, you've got 3 little buttons. It's on the display view now. If the one on the right is the little presentation view.
Yeah, I know that. Yeah. There.
No.
Yep. No.
No, that wasn't it, I guess.
Dave, just to give you, it may not be you. I was on a call last night and another one today with some people who were using Google and Apple's, and things were being glitchy with sharing presentations. So,
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So yeah, this is really unusual. Very strange.
Joanna, do you want to send it to me and I can present it? I have the ability to present it too.
Yeah, sure.
Let's try. Yeah, let's try it.
I mean, I'm not on an Apple.
Yeah, it may not be you. It might be there was something definitely glitchy with Apple's.
Okay. See if Andrew has better luck. Mine was coming through. It was tiny, and I couldn't seem to change it.
So you're sending that now, Joanna?
Yeah, I'm sending it right now, Andrew. Hold on.
Yeah, I'm also running on a relatively old well, ancient by computer standards MacBook here.
All right, I just sent it to you now, Andrew. You should get it.
There's nothing wrong with ancient. They work well.
I wonder if it's worth changing it to a PowerPoint, a PDF file, Andrew. If you can do that, it might just be the PowerPoint format. I don't know.
I'm just still waiting for it to come through, so give me another minute here. All right, I just received it. Okay. Can you all see that? Can everyone see?
No.
No?
You're not presenting.
Oh,
Presenting.
goodness. Let's try it again. Works. How about now? See anything?
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. Great. Can you make it a little bit bigger, Andrew?
You can't see, like, I have it on full screen mode. You don't see it very large?
It's not the front page. It's like the second page. It's got the numbers on. I just wanted to.
Can you see that well?
Yeah, we're seeing the same view that you would normally see with the, the previews on the left and the slide on the right.
But switch it to page 2 so we can see if we can see the numbers.
Yeah, I am on page 2. You don't see page 2?
Oh.
That was a problem.
There it is.
Oh, there it is.
Okay.
You see it?
Yep.
Yeah,
Yes.
that's great.
Okay, great.
Awesome. Okay. So basically, I just used the same presentation format as I used last month, and I actually kept some of January's numbers in there too, so you've got something to compare by the month. So the first section is projected revenue and expenses. The top part is the booking report. So if you look at January 2021, I've moved it to gray. That was the numbers that I presented last month. And there's a difference in the total revenue on the bolded black line below that. So we're basically at 39% of budget right now for this fiscal year in revenue.
Okay.
In Munis, so Munis from now on is going to be even more skewed than normally because it doesn't include future year deposits. So all deposits that come in for the next fiscal year and the fiscal year after that aren't seen in Munis right now. So right now it looks like we have Munis revenue of 41,218, and that's in deposits for this fiscal year. The second section is the expenses, and this comes straight from Munis. FY21 salaries and general expenses, we're currently at 42% total, which is great. We've got, four or 5 months left to go of the fiscal year, so I'm trying to keep it as low as I can. And then this is the projections that I made in December for what I believe will be our full year expenses, 81,000 for salaries, 131,000 for general expenses, with a total of 202,000 or 60% of budget. So in January, I said that we had an anticipated loss at the end of the fiscal year on June 30th of 79,000. And at this point, we're at 72,478 as a loss. So it's come down a little bit.
Yep. And with the good news today, maybe we can get down a little bit more, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Right, exactly. So a lot of people are waiting on that. If you want to go to the next page, Andrew, it'll show you our inquiry pace and booking pace. And it's exactly the same as the slide was last month, except I moved January 2021 up with that bumper month that we had with all of the new wedding inquiries and bookings. And this is February. So we're still you're not at the end of the month yet, but February is as strong as any of the strongest months we've had in the past 5 years, other than January. So I've got bookings coming in of 7 weddings. Actually, it's 5 weddings and then 2 other events that aren't weddings. But yeah, we're still strong. And February, because it was Valentine's Day too, it's generally in that range. But that was a good month. But as you can see, as Dave just mentioned, people have been holding off. So I'm sure I know I've received like 5 or 6 inquiries since 2 o'clock this afternoon, and I'm sure there'll be more coming in. And then the final screen, Andrew, if you want to move to the number 4, is our fiscal year 22. So this is again, I've just used the same slide as last month. I added February to January's based on the new bookings that have come in. So I'm projecting for FY22, which starts July the 1st of this year and ends June the 30th of next year. And this is revenue. I'm projecting 350, 346. Our expenses, I'm projecting for the full year, which is a regular full year, and it hasn't been quartered. So basically, this is the full 4 quarters that we've talked about when we're determining the budget before Melissa took it down to the quarter. So this is 4 quarters of the budget would be 322,280. So that's fiscal year 22. And then fiscal year 23, which starts July the 1st next year in 2022, we've already got $35,500 of business on the books with 16 months to go until the start of that fiscal year. So that's really positive for this time of the year. I don't think I've booked any weddings in my experience here for not this fiscal year or next fiscal year, the fiscal year after this early in the year. I usually start booking those in like July or August for 23. So that's where we stand in terms of revenue, in terms of bookings, and in terms of expenses compared to our budget right now.
Okay. Good.
Yeah, any questions?
Yeah, I will have a comment. I think, well, so first of all, thank you. And it's good to know that we kind of look like we already are. Yeah, we're already kind of squeaking past the bad number of, you know what I mean, of 0, right, of profit. Yeah. But I have a comment. So now, given the new rules, what we should be also reporting on is something with us corporate types called backlog, right? Which, you know, in a manufacturing environment is orders you have, but that you can't declare revenue for yet, right? So effectively, those deposits you have that cannot be recognized as revenue until the year they're performed now, you should still report about them, right? Because it's an important number.
That's exactly, there's one thing about that, Dave. I can't pull those numbers in Munis. I only have the booking report numbers on our future revenue, which you see here on this screen. Right.
No, I understand that it won't show up in Munis, but the question is, I mean, that's money that North Andover received, right? That's cash. Yeah. We deposited it in the general fund, I guess, right? So especially given that it doesn't show up in Munis, it's important to report on it here, right? And it is very much the equivalent of backlog in a manufacturing company.
Yeah, and Dave, there's an analogous to government, where government can't recognize that revenue in the current fiscal year. So I'm surprised that Munis can't show you that, because you should be able to show the revenue going forward. But I think it would be nice, and you've started to lay it out here well, Joanna, of saying, you know, here's where we are with this current fiscal year, next fiscal year, third fiscal year, and showing the fact that there is bookings coming in and that there is revenue generation, and that you know, the situation is not as dire as has been discussed by some.
Or as it may look if you just simply look at Munis, right? Yeah. Yeah. So I would recommend, actually, honestly, since more people speak normal account, I don't know what else to call it, like corporate accounting than municipal accounting. Yeah. I would actually I'd suggest that in your report each time to us that you You even call it, you can call it bookings or future bookings or whatever, was the proper term.
Deposits, yeah.
Or deposits, but then I would put in parentheses backlog, right? Because it really, like, a lot of people know what that means. You know what I mean? Those are orders, effectively. Right? We have deposits, right? So it's good to stress that.
Yeah. Okay, so I guess I can add another screen to the next meeting, which would be number 5, which would say this is what we've got in deposits for FY22 and FY23.
Yeah, I think that would be wise and
which
helpful.
is an alternative to Munis.
Yep. Okay. All right,
And
good.
and I would just come back to there's I think if you're able to talk to the town accountant and have a conversation, I would be very surprised that Munis doesn't have an ability to book those out year revenues, not recognize them, but book them as something that can show up in a report.
Andrew, do you know anything about that? About whether we could, create a future year account for the deposits that come in for FY22?
Yeah, it's a good question. I mean, I just don't know. I don't know enough about the back end mechanics of Munis to either support what Tom is saying or deny. So I think we just need to talk to Lynn about it.
All right. So Andrew, can we give you that action to take?
Sure.
Okay. So talk to Lynn and see if there's a way for Munis to report out on that.
Yeah.
Okay.
My perspective, Munis is the official record of the town, supposedly, right? Not spreadsheets or PowerPoint sheets. So I think if there is going to be a transition of management and ownership, and we're going to honor these commitments that the town has made, those commitments need to be really cemented and recognized formally by the town. So I think exploring a way to capture it institutionally is a safer way than relying on, no offense, Joanna, but, various spreadsheets and PowerPoints that, if all of our hard drives melt down, we're kind of toast.
Yep. I agree. So I guess if the answer is that Munis can't do it, then we need to explore some way that it can be done. I think, Tom, is your point, right? Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Good. Yeah. All right. That's. Thank you, Joanna. Is there any other discussion of financials? All right. Hearing none. I'm not sure, Robin, if you have any updates or not, but if you do, let's have them.
Yes, well, we have an award that came to the estate, and Joanna, you've got to unmute because you're part of this. Woo-hoo!
The Reader's Choice Award. I love it.
So we're
So
putting
this
together
is regional gold. So for the north of Boston, sorry, I'm jumping into Robin's spot here.
No,
but
I asked you to.
I haven't been able to show this to many people. But the biggest thing about it was that I've been trying to benchmark the Crane estate for 5 years. It was my vision when I first came to the Stevens estate that we could do so much better, despite not being on the ocean. The ocean is the big pull, obviously, as well as everything else. And we actually beat the Crane estate into 3rd place. So they got bronze regional award. They always win the award. They always win gold. Everybody knows north of Boston. In fact, outside Boston, outside the city center, the Crane estate is it's the most desired eastern Massachusetts fancy, unique venue. So they were in bronze place, and then in silver was Mistlewood, which is also a beautiful historic venue right on the ocean, and it's owned by the Endicott estate. So it actually illustrates really well how we've been able to compete as a government-owned enterprise fund to a college operation, right, with a hospitality focus, and the trustees of reservations. So it's a really good, clear indicator that we've pulled ourselves up by our bootstraps, and we're competing seriously with these big venues.
So Joanna and I created a press release, and it's now on the desk of Melissa Rodriguez for approval.
Yeah.
Very
So
nice.
that's hopefully that'll go out ASAP.
Andrew, can you stop sharing so we can see? So John can hold that up again, and we can maybe
Oh,
see,
Yeah.
see it a little bit better.
I don't know if I can present again, but
Sorry about that. I completely forgot I was sharing.
It's really nice, and that can,
yeah, I can't share again, but you can see it. It's a
yeah,
little-
yeah. Can it? And it's framed nicely. It looks like, so we can hang it up, right?
Exactly. It's on a nice piece of wood, nice and
So is
shiny.
that going into town hall?
I want to keep it at the Stevens estate, but if Andrew overrules me, then that's the way it is.
Then we need two.
No, you can keep it there. That's totally fine.
We've
But I mean, I think we
already
should
booked-
shift it over to town hall at some point if some another
We
entity
should
takes
have,
over.
we should have
Yeah.
a ceremony.
Absolutely, yeah. We've
Andrew,
already booked a wedding because this was on the table in the Oak Room when I
Yeah.
gave the tour.
Andrew, in all seriousness, I think this goes a long way to speaking to the excellence and skill in the management of Joanna in the estate. And I would like to put a formal request on, and I don't know if we need to vote on it, that I would like to see this put on the Board of Selectmen agenda for their next meeting to recognize the fact that the estate has won this regional award and frankly beat out two competitors that were oftentimes used as examples of better management and better services through many previous discussions by folks. So I think this is an important testament to the estate, and I'm formally asking through the chair to see this put on the agenda for the BOS.
Can I consider that? I think that is something we should vote on. I feel like anyway. And so can I, Tom? Can you? Can I take that as a motion?
Sure.
Okay. All right, because I'll second it.
Yeah.
And then does anyone need any further discussion on that? I think it's a good idea. I really do. That's
Thank you.
all right, so let's vote. We'll start with Tom.
Aye. Aye. Excuse me.
Robin.
Aye.
Very good. Charles.
Aye.
And the chair votes yes as well, so it's unanimous, and I think that's great. Tom, will you be willing to, how do I put it? If you wouldn't mind writing up like a paragraph or something like that I could use to send to them.
Yep, I'm happy to do that. I'll do that tonight or tomorrow morning.
All right, and then I'll forward it on as a formal request that it be.
And just for the record, I just wanted to say, from the town's perspective, and I've heard Melissa say this many times, and I happen to agree with her, that, we're in a wholehearted agreement that Joanna's done a fantastic job in her role as director, and especially with all of the trials and tribulations of COVID and other things that have come up over the more recent past. There's a lot to be done, and and clearly this recognition is a testament to her ability. So we appreciate it.
All right, so we'll. Tom, you write that up. I'll send it to the selectmen and ask that we be able to either. I'd like to actually verbally present that at a selectmen's meeting if I could, but we'll see what they say.
Yeah, and I would be so bold, David, if they choose not to. I'm happy to call in as a resident and a citizen and utilize my 3 minutes of talk time to bring this up.
Okay.
Because I think it's that important after some of what I felt were extraordinarily acerbic comments directed towards the staff in the survey that was done, that this goes a long way in showing that those comments were pretty inappropriate and a public refutation of them. That's the wrong word, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, I know. I do know what you mean. All right. Good. That's excellent. Really good news too. Nice. Congratulations, Joanna.
Thank you. Thanks a lot. I'm really happy.
All right. Is there anything else, Robin, for marketing?
Were we working on anything else, Joanna? I think that was the big thing in the past 2 weeks.
Yes. Yeah, it was.
Okay.
We got more stuff coming up though.
Oh, good.
With the governor's news, of course. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
All right. So if we're good on that, there's
Regarding that,
okay.
the fact that there will be an impact on the Stevens estate when the precautions are going to be lessened. Andrew, could you help us put something in the town's newsletter that goes out to residents so that they know the full status of the Stevens estate and the capacity for having events held there?
What I think might be helpful is we do these regular COVID-19 updates, and you know, they're done on a pretty regular. Like at this point, we're sending one every other day. You know, given all the vaccination schedules and things like that are coming out. And one of the things we tend to put in there when they come up are, you know, when governor's reopening guidance and issues with respect to that. So what we can do is we can explain the reopening and the fact that we're moving on to a different phase, and we can just note that it's having a tangible effect on the ability for the Stevens estate to open up further as well. If that makes sense.
It makes sense, but I would rather have the emphasis on the Stevens estate than the governor's COVID restrictions being lifted. I think the Stevens estate needs to come first.
Okay.
Can I work with you on a statement or something, Robin, and then we'll give it to Andrew and he can.
Yeah, that works.
Okay.
All right. Any other marketing business?
I wanted to ask a question.
Sure, Charles.
Yes, Charles. Has the estate ever entertained venues like the previous ones mentioned, the Crane Estate and the other one, who do have substantial revenue from yearly events there?
I'm sorry, can you say that? I didn't understand.
What is the name of the estate down there in on the water?
Crane Estate.
Mistlewood or Crane Estate?
The other one.
The first.
Okay, for example, they have a collector car event there every year that's well attended, and I'm sure they derive revenue from that. The Crane Estate has weekly dances all through the summer, where hundreds attend to that. That I'm sure that adds to their bottom line.
We actually, so we in the last couple of years, we've been partnering with the Greater Boston Vintage Society, and they are the organization who actually, they have thousands and thousands of members throughout New England and beyond. Even we had a New Year's Eve party in 2019, which was so long ago now. And people actually came from the West Coast to attend the event at the Stevens Estate. So we're continuing to work with Jason Volk on a lot of smaller events like that. But we have worked with the BMW Club. There's a lot of other opportunities that we could do if we just had the capacity and outreach ability. But now that I've got so much more awareness and people see us as a serious competitor, I think we'll have a lot more incoming inquiries, because we do have a lot of auctions and things like that. So we're kind of a flexible space. I'd love to give you a tour when you're able to, just to come and check it out. But yeah, we try and entertain that. I'm also working with one of the local dance groups here in North Andover, and actually one in Wilmington. We're going to have some dance recitals in the tent in the early summer, because of course these people and the kids have been had nowhere to dance either. So yeah, so I definitely do focus on outreach, not just to individuals, but to organizations where there's a bigger bang for the buck, and building those relationships and maintaining them is a critical part of what I do, I believe. So
okay.
But I'd love to, yeah, when we take a walk around, I'd love to get some of your ideas and write them down, because I know that you've probably got a lot to contribute in the sales and marketing aspect too.
I'd like to do that.
Thanks.
All right. Any other marketing discussion or news? All right. So now we have we're up to number 6, estate operations. So Joanna has 2 things for us today. One is her annual report, and then the regular monthly update, with most of which we've already done with the financials. Yeah. So go ahead.
Yeah, so I don't really have much more to report other than what you saw on the presentation. The estate has been very quiet. We have been giving tours. There's a lot of snow up there right now, and it's very quiet between now and the end of March, but we are taking inquiries for April. We've got bookings for April, May. There's a lot of people interested in the tent and having outside activities. We've got the Stevens Memorial Library having a 3-day book sale again in May. And then they've just inquired about having another one in the fall like they did last year. So there's a lot of kind of multiple generation themes going on with just one or two different people that I'm connecting with. So lots of conversations right now. In terms of anything else going on at the estate, there's nothing going on. We haven't been repairing anything. We've had the pest end guy and come and check the traps and everything. We actually had the faucet replaced down in the laundry sink, which has been bugging me for a long time, just yesterday. So I'm happy about that. But other than that, it's standing and intact. I did want to ask Andrew. Andrew, I know that with the RFP, people came for a tour. I was wondering whether you could give just a very high level kind of introduction as to what people thought in their first impressions. Because I know that you can there's only so much you can say, but you can maybe illustrate what people saw as positives and what we could do additional work with according to those new pairs of eyes.
Yeah, I'm not sure I have too much to say on that in terms of, no one was showing their cards really as far as what everything they thought. I mean, but we did have a group, a pretty substantial contingency from the Trustees of Reservations was there. Everybody and their mother was there from them. And then we had a representative of a group called Wedgwood Weddings. That is a group based out on the West Coast somewhere. They have a lot of properties in California and throughout, I believe, the Southwest. And they do have a property in New Hampshire somewhere. And I think they sent out their manager of that property. They did end up telling us after the fact that they're not going to submit a proposal, not because they didn't like what they saw, but just that it didn't really jive with their business model. I don't think they felt like the capacity they could get in the estate as it currently exists would have been what they needed it to be to drive the type of revenue they would want to drive. So it doesn't sound like Wedgwood Weddings is going to submit a proposal. But just generally speaking, we took a tour of the house, all the nooks and crannies, the basement all the way up to the attic. It was everybody got a full tour of the main house, the carriage house, the garage, and the gatehouse. So everyone, and obviously when you're walking down the gatehouse, you're sort of walking down that drive, so you're getting a better feel for the property as it is. And I think people were, admired the woodwork in there. They certainly admired the art, the painting that was on the wall that is, a little bit damaged. I know Joanna's been trying to get funding for restoration of it. But people are definitely impressed with, a lot of the stature of the property. And they asked several questions, and all those questions were recorded. And they had asked, the trustees in particular had asked a bunch of questions earlier. And so Lori Burzlaff, who acts as our purchasing agent, released an addendum with all the answers to those questions. And Joanna was helpful in providing answers in many respects to those questions. So they have information, and we're just awaiting responses, and we'll go from there.
Thank you.
Sure.
Joanna, did you want to talk at all about the annual report that you produced?
Oh yeah, I don't have it on this.
Before we get into that, I have one question.
Sure.
How many different organizations were there for that tour, Andrew?
Just two, the Trustees of Reservations and that Wedgwood Weddings company that I had mentioned. That was it. And okay. We had made, we had told people that they could set up tours if they wanted to, so no one else took us up on that.
Got it. Yep. And so how many did not want a tour?
I have to ask Lori how many people pulled. There was at least one other group that pulled. the RFP. And just to be clear, just because someone pulls an RFP doesn't mean they have any intent to apply whatsoever. It could just be
They
wanted
want to
to
see
look
what's
at
in it.
Yeah, they want to see what's in it. They want to see what's going on. I think like, Toll Brothers or some, housing developer picked it up, which
I
was
know.
kind of strange and sort of tone deaf. I would assume they would have figured it out really quickly. We weren't looking to sell off the property
Demolish the
to a house.
building.
Yeah, it's like a little odd that they picked it up, but they did.
Wow.
So anyway.
Thank you.
Sure.
Dave and Andrew, I just had a quick question. I saw in the select board meeting, they had a list of people who had pulled the RFPs. Is that the kind of most current list of everyone who's pulled?
At what meeting was this, on Monday?
I think so.
This past Monday? Yeah, then it probably would be. I can't imagine anybody's pulled between now and then because the document is due soon, like tomorrow, I think. So yeah.
All right, I was just curious. I was just curious if that was the most recent list.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Sure.
Okay. All right. Sorry, Joanne. I was asking if you wanted to talk about your annual report at all.
Yeah, I don't actually. Where is it? I haven't got my work laptop because I left my charger somewhere and it ran out of power. So I'm not on my work laptop, but I've got my Google account here. I'm just going to see if I can find it because it was on my
All right.
on my work laptop. Did I send it to you, Dave?
You did. I'm cautiously optimistic that PowerPoint will work now. So let me. I'll try to see if I can present it. While you're looking, I'll be looking.
Okay.
There it is. It's a PDF, so maybe that'll.
Oh yeah. Can you open it, Dave?
Yeah, I've got it. Yep, I got it. Annual report. Okay, let me try to see what. Let's see what happens. Present now. Present window. Stevens Estate annual report. Is it? You guys see it?
Awesome. Yeah.
Yes.
So I actually changed it a little because I realized that the formatting wasn't per Trudy's request. So this has to be reformatted, and this front page is in the right format, but it will go into the annual warrant for the town meeting. So this is basically, it's everything that we've talked about the last few, the last meeting and today. So the mission statement, and then the highlights talking about COVID. I think one of the reasons why we got the that gold award was because we actually had weddings last year. And in fact, there was a couple that came just when I received the plaque, and they came with the parents of the bride, and they said, wow, congratulations on winning that award. Did you even have any weddings last year? And that made me realize that it was because we were able to manage to book and execute really well these 5 events that we had last year. And I think also the Greater Boston Vintage Society people that attended the New Year's Eve event in December 2019, I think they are very, as I said, they're very well established in different areas of the state. And I think that they might have added to our case to win this award. So just on a couple of different fronts there, but it was great. I talked about the 6th annual Holidays open house, how we had to pivot all over the place. It was like playing basketball. And then the 5 years, 5 bathrooms. And I talked about some of the local community stuff, like the book sale with the Stevens Memorial Library.
Yes, which was great. Yeah, I enjoyed that one. Yep.
Yeah, that was really good. They're doing it again twice now. It's it's a really good partnership. I think we should have done it a long time ago. And then finally, in December, I actually made a presentation to the North Andover Improvement Society about my aestheticism research on the the origins of the house and Moses Stevens' inspiration. So I've put a lot of this information on our website. If you want to look at the Discover tab, there's a lot of background why, what connects it to the aesthetic movement, the house and the estate in general, and what specifically connects it to Oscar Wilde. So I definitely encourage you to read that if I haven't bored you with one of my Oscar Wilde tours of the estate lately. And then this is basically just a really good illustration of how January, compared to the last 5 years, with the new website, with COVID, perhaps with other people in Massachusetts knowing we won this award before I did, but generally a lot of building to get to this point where in January, we've had like over 270 inquiries since the new year. We've never had that many. If you look, you know, average inquiries a month are like 50 to 75 on a good month. So yeah, it's, and as I've always said, it's a matter of numbers. The more inquiries we get, the more tours we get, and the more people I can get into the house for a tour, the more weddings we book. So yeah.
So do those inquiries come in? Some of them come in as phone calls. Some come in as people clicking on the website saying, "Send me more information," that kind of thing.
Yeah, there's actually, if you scroll down a little bit, Dave, you'll see where my sources are, and this is something that I'm really proud of too. So the first paragraph on the top of that page talks about how we've maintained all of our great ratings. And then the second bullet here shows our inquiry sources. So you can see in this table, most of our inquiries are coming through the Stevens Estate website. And this is just since we got the new website in December. The Knot, Wedding Wire, and Wedding Spot are the 3 online advertising places, vehicles that we use. They all send leads. That 5th column is recommended referrals. So you can see our referrals have gone from 0 to 25%, or 20 plus inquiries, which is significant. It's more than 2 of the advertising sources that we pay for. So it's showing that the other work that we're doing, not just the advertising, is paying off. And then attended an event. We're getting more and more people that have actually come to weddings here in the past, that they remembered it, they want to come back. Then with vendor referrals, because we have a great relationship with the vendors that we work with. We always work as a team. We expect them to be professional. We work with integrity, and it shows because we're getting vendor referrals now too. I thought the Reddit one was interesting. Reddit, it's a very interesting source. I couldn't find any evidence when I searched through Reddit, but somebody believed they found us on Reddit. And then Lives Nearby is right up there too. So 23% of all inquiries were based on recommendations and referrals, which means 25% of our bookings we didn't have to pay advertising for. It's based on our hard work in the past. 5% of all inquiries were referred by people who had attended an event at the Stevens Estate and had experienced it. And then 8% of all inquiries were from people living in North Andover and the surrounding area. Dave, if you can just scooch up a little bit beyond the table, it shows, so I did a calculation of where people were coming from. Of more than 11,000 people who came to the website last year, 7% were from international event and wedding planners. Here in the US, only 70% of wedding inquiries are from Massachusetts or Southern New Hampshire, with the remainder coming from other states, including California, Texas, New York, and Florida. Up to 10% of our wedding clients are typically not from Massachusetts.
It shows you how, it shows you how important the website, reviving and restoring the website was, right? Look at that.
It was, well, you could see the numbers when we had the other website in 2017, and then it kind of plateaued at a really low level, and now we're back up where we should have been with, you know, the 2017 website. But it's even better because I've got all my research and stuff on there now. So.
Yeah. Okay. Very good.
That's it. Awesome.
Yeah, bravo. I agree. I agree. All right. Anyone have any questions, other questions or comments for Joanna for her reports? Okay. Thank you, Joanna. That's great.
Dave, there's one thing I wanted to mention. I haven't finished it, but I was I wanted to bring it up tonight, and it relates to the RFP. I'm working on just like a single page comparison piece to give to you, Dave, and I will also give a copy to Andrew and Melissa. And I basically, it's just establishing some of the points we've already accomplished in comparison to what we're expecting the applicants to the the people who apply for the RFP. So a couple of benchmarks in terms of our revenue and our outreach and our use of expenses, things like that. And I think it will be helpful to you, Dave, and to everybody else to determine, well, this is where we're up now. This is what we want to achieve when we bring in a new leasee or a management company. This is where we have to go because we're already at this point. There's no point in pretending we're not here. We want better. And I think it'll be a really helpful, just as a guide.
So that would be something you'd want me to share with everyone that's evaluating, right?
Yeah. Is that something you would do?
Yeah, well, that's a good question. I don't. I know we have a meeting. I can certainly bring it up Monday. Andrew, do you have an opinion on that?
Apologies.
Yeah.
Can you just, Joanna, can you just quickly run through that again?
Yeah, so I'm working on like a single piece of paper, which I think will help benchmark where we currently stand at the Stevens estate with what we're expecting for the new leasee or management company. And basically, if we tell them that we're expecting to be here in a year and we're already here, then we're not expecting them to do anything. So I think it's a good way to establish where we are as a baseline right now and make the demands of any applicants that we need to do better than this for the Stevens estate and for the town.
Yeah, I guess I don't know. I have a hard time following as far as like, you mean in terms of revenue?
So
or in terms of
revenue and expenses and how much you would spend on maintenance projects, things like that. It's basically just something that you can compare with any new applications that you want to be able to,
It sounded like you. What you mean to do is prepare sort of a operational status summary, right? This is what our operations look like right now going forward.
And I was actually thinking of kind of putting it under the objectives of the bid. So basically the RFP has a certain number of objectives and then illustrate where we are in accomplishing those objectives and where the delta is where the management company would need to come in and realize those goals.
Yeah. So personally, for me, Dave, if it's okay, I would actually like to see that as a trustee, but also as a resident, given that this RFP may require town meeting approval. I think that is a very important document to help our citizens understand the choice that they may be asked to make about leasing out or entering into a long-term agreement with the with a party if that's how that group goes. But I think that is a very informative, very helpful document that will help people understand their choice and what choice they're being asked to make. So I would support the creation of that document and the sharing of it with the trustees and or the procurement committee as needed.
I feel like I think that's a good idea. I'm just trying to think about the proper way to make it. Like, I don't know that I can. I mean, I don't know if I can bring it there or if it has to go to. You know what I mean? Like, I'm a little unsure about how that evaluation committee is going to run. Right.
You can. I mean, Dave, you can bring it forward, and Melissa, if she has an issue with utilizing it as a method of evaluation of proposals, and she'll state that.
Okay, so I could just bring it to the first meeting and say, John, it's done. Well, we're meeting Monday. I mean, is that something you'll have by Monday, Joanna?
Yeah, I can do it in time for your meeting for sure.
Okay, All right. Well, I'm
And
happy.
so what I'll do is I'll send it to you, Dave, and I'll CC Andrew. I'll send it to you both.
Yeah. Okay.
And then maybe I can send it to the trustees. I don't know.
I mean, to this board, you can send it to
This board, yes, this board of trustees here today.
With the trustees of the reservation, we're going to get confused about what we mean by the trustees.
Oh no.
But, yeah. So I think you mean to this board. Yeah, you can send anything you want to this board, I think.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So I'll send it to. I'll CC everybody else on the board so that addresses the board.
Right. What we can't do is discuss it on email, right? But we can certainly get information that way. There's no problem with that.
All right. So I'll make sure, David, you and Andrew get it before Monday, so you at least have a chance to read it, and I'll CC the board.
Okay.
Thanks.
And then, if obviously, if one of the members of this board wishes to discuss it next meeting, then we put it on the agenda. That's how I think it has to work. Right?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So thank you for all of that. So we're on to new business, and Tom brought up an agenda item that I think is very worthwhile, and as we talked about earlier, kind of came up in the planning board meeting, and that's a discussion on the maintenance of the conservation land. And I probably didn't do it justice, but that was just
no, you did it perfectly, Dave.
Okay.
I know that typically as the trustees of Osgood Hill, our focus has been on the house and the outbuildings and the close, what I would call the close-in landscape, the gardens, the formal landscape. But we do have as a town, the estate is one of our primary protections for the watershed. It's a recreational asset, whether people go sledding and hiking on Half Mile Hill or the trails, but primarily, and it fits in well today too, there was a message sent out about the town about some invasive species and climate change and some different things, but the estate itself forms one of the primary buffers and protectors for the lake, our primary drinking supply. And I would like to hear a little bit more from management, specifically the town, about where do we actually stand with the landscape that is part of the Stevens estate, and what has been done in terms of forestry practices, forest management, and also in particular the addendum that Andrew mentioned earlier did reference questions regarding the broader property in itself, the acreages. And I, both as a trustee and as a resident, would really like to understand more about how the land will be treated under the RFP. And I think, Dave, as you know, that question was brought up at the planning board, given the sensitivity and importance of a watershed and the protection of the aquifer. Once you lose control of that, it's very risky for a municipality, especially as water scarcity and water quality becomes more of an issue. So it's just a broader discussion topic that I wanted to put back on the table. We talked a little bit about this in the vision report that we did. But I think it's something that, is worthy of some conversation and some discussion within both the context of just, where are we with the estate, but also as people start to evaluate the RFP and consider adding on more responsibility and scope to the management group.
Yeah, I think that's a very good point. And I want to make a comment about that. I'm just taking notes, Tom. Hang on. Last two town meetings ago, right, was the article about the first RFP and the potential sale of the property, right?
Right.
And one of the articles, there were two articles. One was that, and the second article had to do with actually splitting off the vast majority of the property for this very purpose, right, for protection of the aquifer. This is my opinion now, but in a really bizarre way, that article failed as well, which was kind of confusing to me personally. Like, what I couldn't understand why people were opposed to that. And we could all speculate all night about why. But in any event, it did not happen. But it probably still should have. Again, it's an opinion, but I feel like it probably should still happen. And it's been a while since I've read the RFP. Obviously, I'll have to refresh my memory again, but I don't remember it really being. I could be wrong, but I don't remember it really being treated in there.
We're going to require a conservation restriction to be put on the property. So someone's going to have to hold the conservation restriction. So the RFP does contemplate that.
Okay.
And then just a couple other comments. They're not really tremendously directly tied to what Tom was saying, but I'll just mention a couple things that are tangentially related, at least in some respects. So I learned this the other day, and I don't know how much effect this has, and I'd have to go talk to our facilities director, Steve Foster. Maybe it was someone else in town who was more involved with this, but apparently there was some like controlled cutting that went on at the property at some point. So like, from the perspective of forest management, I'm not sure if that had anything to do with the protection of the watershed. It may have had to do with other issues with respect to how the land was treated. But and Joanna, I suspect you were here when that happened. I don't know if you have any other details about that.
I wasn't here when it happened, but I know there was invasive species.
Okay. Yep.
And it's the area on the curve of the driveway.
That's right.
Area.
And you can kind of tell where it is if you're driving up. You can kind of see some area that's been like slightly cleared when you're driving around the curve of the driveway.
Yep.
The other thing I'd quickly mention is in case you all don't know, to the extent that watershed protection is an issue that residents are concerned about, the town is currently undergoing an update to its watershed plan. We have Weston and Sampson engaged as our consultant on that project, and I'd be happy to send around information about it. There's going to be opportunities for public engagement. They've already done some level of that. And there are certainly materials online that you can look at and see what the progress that's already been made. And, to the extent that there's a desire to express your opinions about the Stevens Estate's role and the land of the Stevens Estate's role in that process, I'd encourage you to engage in the overall watershed update process.
Yeah, and I think that's fair, Andrew. I mean, I'm aware of that plan. I kind of follow your updates and have looked at it. I think, the redoing of the watershed plan is something that I personally support. It's long overdue. It hasn't been, I think, looked at in a long time. I guess my concern is that the Stevens Estate really reflects the last publicly held last substantively public held piece of land that protects the watershed. You do have the trustee land, and you've got some, brooks development along the lake, but you've also got an intermix of other private parcels. So that is probably one of the last larger chunks of land that's under public management that helps, manage and protect the watershed. And I think in terms of the forestry, where you were going with the cutting that was done for the invasive species, that's actually the type of issue. I mean, it's an ecosystem, so it's all linked together, right? The water cycle and the soil and the ground cycle all through the forest and things like that. So I think if there's more information that can be brought in from either Steve Foster or other folks that have been looking at that issue over time, about just giving us a little bit of a sense of most of our capital and operational resources are spent on the buildings and the gardens, not necessarily the what I would call traditional forestry activities that you would see at a DCR or trustee's property.
So, Tom, do we want to make a request of Steve to maybe come in and talk to us about that?
Yeah, I think that would be good. And I kind of like your suggestion. I mean, I'm planning on submitting comments to the watershed plan, but I would welcome the opportunity to talk more about that, either with you, Andrew, or the consultants, or, talk about as you're doing that plan, talk about the role of the estate within the watershed and the aquifer protection. But so, I think bringing Steve in would be good.
Yeah, and I mean, Steve was the one who brought it up because he was helping us with the tour that day. So it came up on the tour for the trustees and for the RFP. I'd have to confirm with Steve that he is actually the person to talk to about it. I don't know. He mentioned it. He mentioned being aware of it. So I don't know if he is the town's best source of information on it. I'll have to confirm with him. But I've made a note to reach out to him to sort of say we had this conversation at your meeting, and that there's a desire to learn more. And so should it be you, or should it be someone else who needs to respond to it?
Yeah. And Andrew,
yeah.
the other suggestion I would have is, this just popped into my mind. I think that invasive species work also took place at the same time the trustees were doing a lot of controlled burns on Wire Hill. So maybe the fire chief might be also a good person to talk to, because I know he was deeply involved. Part of those burns were to control invasive species, but also, take a lot of the bulk out of the forest that was, potentially, and for forest health reasons as well.
Okay. Yeah, I can look into that.
Yeah. All right. So Andrew, you look into that, and we'll figure out who the appropriate. We let Tom and me know who the results.
Sure.
All right. So I can be sure to put it on the agenda if somebody's going to come and speak to us next month.
And I guess, Dave, this is also a question. And maybe Andrew or Joanna, you might also know this. The RFP is a little bit vague about the gardens, right? And so would the management company also be responsible for the maintenance and potential restoration of the formal gardens and things like that used to be at the estate around the house?
I mean, that would be my expectation.
Okay.
We're asking. Yeah.
Go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say we're asking for a full-scale management agreement. So you're running the main house and proposing how you can do that, and you're maintaining the grounds. And to the extent that we expect you to be successful in running the main house, and from a functions perspective, we'd also expect that you'd be able to maintain the grounds well to support your business model. So that's our expectation.
Right, but there's two different flip sides of that, right? So, going back to Joanna's award, right? The trustees maintain the Crane estate both as a function, but as a historic house, right? And part of that is the restoration of gardens and various elements that go along with a, turn of the century, 1910, property, right? So they just went through and completed a massive restoration of one of the lower gardens. And in full disclosure, I'm a member of the trustees. I should say that I'm a member of the trustees, in full disclosure, and go to the Crane's estate a lot. But I think that's part of it, is the management, not only of the building, but what we would define as the landscape associated with the historic property and the operations, and then what is, as Dave said, the landscape associated with the management of the aquifer and the watershed, because it's probably not terribly clear.
Okay.
All right. Okay, we are Bill is going to give us the hook in 5 minutes.
So I'll be quiet.
No, I just want to make sure. I don't mean to cut you off, just because I think we're basically done. But I think so. To summarize, right? Andrew's going to investigate with both Steve Foster and Bill McCarthy, the fire chief, see who would be either between them or someone else be appropriate to come in and talk to us about those land management issues. Is that good enough summary?
Perfect.
All right. So there is no public input. I've just checked my phone. I've checked my phone throughout the meeting to see if any new emails came in. None have. So I have no public input. I'm wondering what we should do about a next meeting date. We could target about a month from now. I think the second to last week of March, perhaps. A lot will probably be going on, but that might be a good time then, Joanna, based on, so the March 22nd is a magic day when things can start to happen by the governor, right? So So that week would probably be good if I can secure a meeting date that week. You guys generally agree with that?
Mm-hmm.
When does the RFP analysis get completed? Like when when the award gets given? How long? I think Andrew and I talked about this, but it's like it could take 3 or 4 weeks. Is that the case?
Well, I think the analysis might be quick. Well, I guess I shouldn't be so bold to assume, but I don't think it'll take too long. I think what might take longer is just depending on what the contents of that response are. There might be some, if the committee decides it wants to move forward with, selecting that let's say it's the trustees, they want to select that, then there might be a conversation about what would be in the ultimate management contract. So to like Tom's point just now, if we have to stipulate that there has to be maintenance of those gardens, for instance, like, so it may not be an instant, you've been selected, okay, here's a standard boilerplate contract, and that we're gonna move forward and have this approved, by the town. There might be some discussion afterwards. So I don't know how long that process might play out. But obviously we want things sewn up before town meeting. No question about that.
Yeah. So it's hard to say.
Doesn't reflect on the next board meeting.
Right. I don't know that it really affects us one way or the other in terms of what date we select. Right. I mean, it will proceed at its pace. Right. Regardless. So I feel like, unless anyone disagrees with me, I feel like that week of March 22nd possibly would be good. Or if I can't get a date, then the following week of March 29th, which takes us into April 1st and 2nd. April 1st is a Thursday. I know I'm going to be busy that week.
What's the date of the school committee election?
The election is Tuesday, March 30th.
30. Oh, it's right at the end of the month. Okay.
Yeah, it's Tuesday.
So
March.
we should definitely have a meeting before then.
Well, yeah, I'll try for that week before. I'm sure I'll be busy, but so what? We can meet that week before. Honestly, what affects it most is when I can get North Andover Cam to give us a spot. They've suddenly become the most popular TV channel in North Andover, right? Because they carry everything. Okay, so I'll shoot for the week of March 22nd. Does anybody already know they have issues that week that would prevent them?
I don't.
Okay. Charles, are you good that week as far as you know?
Yeah, I'm clear. I'm clear that week.
Okay.
I'm clear.
Are you? Okay, good luck, Robin.
Thank you.
Yep. All right. Then if there's nothing else, I'll love to entertain a motion for dinner. A motion to adjourn.
I'll make
I would like to make a motion to adjourn. Oh, yeah. Sorry, you got Tom.
No, you go.
I'll second the motion.
All right. See, I'm Robin in favor. Yes.
Aye.
Yeah. Aye.
Tom, you're in favor, I assume. Charles.
Yes.
And I'm in favor as well. Andrew, Joanna, thank you. Talk to you guys soon.